themselves, I can do this. Okay, I did that. Now what's the next step? And I had shared my frustration in that area. And Dara and I had actually never connected, and she messaged me and said, you know, I can totally relate to what you said, and I would love to, you know, connect with you and talk about how maybe we could work together to solve this. And that is where this program came from. So that's why we wanted to do this.
Is your paper, look and see if your paper is right there.
To help you kind of get over those humps if you're stuck on some of those, and those of you who are brand new coaches to really help you jump out of the gate nice and strong. So that's me in a nutshell, and I'll let Dara tell us a little bit about herself.
I gotta listen to this. Hang it up.
Sorry, I am having some really trouble. I had to jump on my laptop, and I'm trying to go through and mute. So just give me 1 minute.
Sure. I was just looking through to see if I could mute as well, but it won't let me because I'm not a host.
Let's try this. Okay, so thank you for Lindy for kicking us off. I can't tell you how many great connections I've made because of this business. And I was telling Lindy earlier today how I think how invaluable it is to network with so many different coaches at so many different places in their business from so many backgrounds, because I think she brings such a powerful so much knowledge and skill and history and background that she can bring to my team. And I love being able to cross train, and I just think that's so powerful. So a little bit about me. I have also been a coach like Lindy for 6 years. When she posted in that leadership group, I'm like, oh, I need to connect with her. How come we haven't connected? Because I think, like Lindy said, that the sustainability and longevity that we have in this business, I think I've seen companies come and go in my time. When we first started, there were companies that seemed to be kind of on the market at the same time that we were, and they are history. There is nothing left of those companies. And just to see like Beachbody standing strong through all of it, and coaches like Lindy and myself standing strong through it all. It's been a journey. It was hard before it felt easy, but I knew what I wanted. I knew what my vision was, and I wasn't going to give up on myself or my family. And so 6 years later, here we are. I'm a superstar diamond coach, 3-time elite, top 50, Success Club 10, all-star legend. And really what all that means is that I think I've created systems of success for my team and for those around, and for anyone willing to work for their future and for freedom. It's there. The potential is there. Beachbody's not going anywhere. Health and fitness are not fads. It's not going anywhere. I mean, this is not just just quick pop-up company. This is something that changes people's lives, and it starts with our own. But now my purpose is, after I've been able to quit my full-time job, retire my husband, pay off our debt, be home with my babies, my purpose is to share this gift. This is an amazing gift, and I want my coaches that come onto the team, and any coach in my downline and prospects out there, to just realize that there's so much potential inside of us that is waiting to be untapped and unleashed. And, like I said on my first video, we're not just here to pay bills and die. Like there's more to this life. You can do what you love. You can feel fulfilled, and you can do it on your time. And Lindy and I think we have a really good training going here. I'm super excited for this format. I think, not that my other trainings have been fluff, but really honing in and helping you dial in on the actions that are going to produce results in your business. I think at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, is we want to produce results. We want to be successful, and we are giving you those tools to do that. So let's kick off. Let's do this.
I'm like talking, and I realized I'm muted. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I realized I'm not talking to anybody but my computer. All right, you guys. So we haven't given you a ton of information, but we've given you some important tasks over the last couple of days. And by the way, we are still trying to figure out what to do about the whole check-in system thing, because I know that the Google spreadsheet for some people aren't being able to access it. If you can access it, you need to go in there and do your check-ins. If you can't, then we're allowing you to do it as a comment in our thread in the group just until we figure this out. With over 100 people in this group, some who are participating and some who are there for accountability for their personal coaches, you can imagine that for Tara and I, it's like a little overwhelming to think about trying to keep track of all those check-ins if they're not all in one place. So we're working on solving that. But the check-ins are a requirement of your participation, and really the purpose of that is to hold you to the commitment that you've made and to help you to develop those daily habits that are going to bring you success. So it's almost exactly like when we have our clients participate in one of our challenge groups or our accountability groups, right? Each day we're asking them to check in with us and to participate in the group, and we're holding them accountable to that. And the purpose of that is to be able to help them build those disciplines into their day that are going to allow them to reach their goals. And it's the exact same thing for this. So that's the purpose in that. We're not being mean by giving you strikes and kicking you out, but we are giving you tough love to hold you accountable, because we want you all to learn those things that are going to help you in the long run. So this week I said in my post on Sunday, I believe it was, that each week is going to kind of build on the previous week. So this week we gave you 3 main areas of focus, which are to share, attract, and connect with people. And the main thing we want you to be focusing on is really that connection side of things. Obviously you're going to be sharing regularly, you're going to be attracting people to you, but when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, if you have those 3 things, the choice of doing those 3 things, and maybe you've got 15 minutes that you can spend on your business for that day, what do you think the most important one out of those 3 things are for you to do? It's the connect one. It's the one where you're actually talking to people and you're starting conversations and you're doing follow-ups and all of that. So that, when it comes down to it, is the most important part, but they build on each other. And then next week we'll add one additional thing that we want you to focus on. And then the third week it'll be one final thing. So by the end it'll be 5 different things, but they really are just very simple and basic, and they're the things that you're going to continue to do for the life of your business. Like Dara and I both said, we've both been coaches for 6 years, and we've been doing these things, day in and day out for that entire time. You never really get to a point in your business where you don't do those things. You get to a point where those things come much easier, and where the results from those things are a lot greater than they are in the beginning, but you never stop doing them. One of the things that my sponsoring coach has said to me so many times over the years, and that has always stuck with me, and that I've absolutely found to be 100% true, maybe you've heard it before, is that in the beginning, you will do a lot for a little, but later you will do a little for a lot. And basically what that means is that the effort that you have to put in the beginning of your business, what you guys are all going to do right now is as you're getting settled, as you're learning, as you're, trying to market yourself and build your brand and do all that kind of stuff, it's going to feel like a lot of work for little return. And that's just the way that it works. It's the same as with our health and fitness. Our businesses parallel that so much. You feel like you're putting this work in and you're not seeing results, and you step on the scale and you're like, why isn't it moving faster? And all of those kinds of things happen, and those frustrations happen. And so many people use that as a reason to quit, and they stop because they're not getting fast results. But the people who hang on are the ones who get the tremendous results and enjoy the benefit of all that work that they put in, because they keep going. So in the beginning of your business, you're going to do what feels like a lot for a little, but I promise you that if you're consistent with it later on, you will be able to do a little for a lot. And what I mean by that is now, and I bet Dara would agree, my weekly paycheck every week, about 85% of it comes from team cycle bonus, and only 10 to 15% comes from like my actual, customers and commissions and product sales and things like that. And what that means is that what I'm earning, that financial freedom type of income, comes from the fact that I put all that work in the beginning, and then I taught other people to do it, and I laid the groundwork, and now I'm able to do a little bit less in those areas for a lot bigger return. And we want to be able to open the doors for that for you guys. So like I said at the beginning of the call, really what we wanted to do today was kind of use this as more of a chance for you guys to ask some questions. I know that there has been some posted in the group already that we wanted to cover tonight. And then if there's anybody who wants to speak up and share if they have a question or maybe a struggle, so that we can give you some advice and some insight based on our own experience. So, Dara, did you have a chance to jot any of those down so that we can just start with those?
I did. So
okay,
I know one question is, how do you expand beyond your warm market? And I'll jump at that, and then you can, Lindy. I personally had a very small warm market when I started. I didn't have a very big Facebook friends list. I didn't have a bunch of my friends that were interested in what I was doing. So it forced me to think about who I was and who's my niche market, niche, whatever you want to call it. I had to think about who I was. I was a mom. I had a brand new baby at home. I was working full time. I was breastfeeding and baby wearing, kind of the same place I am right now in my life, funny enough. But that's where I was. I was working full time. My husband was working full time. And that's kind of the phase of life that I was in. So I started meeting other moms. So, there was already that mom fiber that connected us. And so I would encourage you to write a list of 5 things that you are interested in. And I just went live in my team page on all of this. But, are you into, health and fitness? Are you a mom? Are you do you have dogs? My best friend, she has 4 dogs, all the same breed. So she can join groups of that breed of dog and make connections that way. They have an instant connection. A lot of people love their animals. Maybe you're into crocheting. Maybe you're into traveling. Maybe you're into running. Whatever you're into, type that in the Facebook search bar and start finding groups that are of interest, the same interests that you have, because that's an easy conversation starter. You already have something in common, that shared commonality. And so it's easy to strike a conversation because you have that shared interest. So it looks something like, maybe they post something about their dog. You can post a picture of your dog, and then you send them a friend request and say, hey, I love connecting with other kind of like-minded people, filling my feed with positivity. How long have you had your dog? Or how old are your kids? Or how long have you been running? Do you race for fun, or do you actually run races? Like, whatever it is, just start asking based on where you found them. That's one way, is joining interest groups. Another way Lindy talked about on our intro is the Facebook recommends people you may know. They've already done a good job at that 6 degrees of separation. You either have gone to school with them, or you work with them, or they're a neighbor, or they're your my dental hygienist. I met her on Facebook. So, you're always connected somehow to people. And when or mutual friends, Lindy talked about that, and friending them and saying, I love her. She does my hair, or I love her. She used to babysit my kids. How do you know her? And just using however you found them. Once you add them, it's really important to follow up with a message and let them know where you found them. Don't just let it. I think personally, in my mind, when I friend someone, the very next day I go and see who accepted, and I send them a message so they know where I came from and who I am. Otherwise, it's kind of like a blind friend request. So I think it's really important that you can jump into building that relationship right off the bat. Mm-hmm. Those are my tips.
Yeah, I agree. I would echo the same things. One of the main things for me, and I touched on this, somebody in the group commented, and I touched on this in there. But one of the main ways for me was by having my profile public, which I know is one of the things that makes some people uneasy, and there are ways to do that. But I cannot tell you guys how many clients and even coaches I have gotten over the 6 years that I've been a coach because my profile was public and people could see what I was doing. So how it works, in case you're unaware, is that, for example, if I were to post something that had to do with fitness and nutrition, or I promoted my next online program or whatever, and a friend of mine commented on it and said they were interested, their friends will also see the fact that they commented on it. But if I have my profile as being private and they comment on my photo, then all of their network doesn't see that. So that's kind of how it works. And like I said, I mean, probably in the hundreds of people that have become my clients or have become coaches on my team because they connected it to me because my profile was public. So when you're posting on Facebook and you're, building your brand and you're sharing and all of that kind of stuff, you can absolutely do other things where you make it to be only your friends list or only certain people. There's a way to set up, we're not going to cover all this in this group. That's something that you can look up on Google to figure out how it works, but you can set up on your Facebook to have certain lists so that when you post, you can choose who gets to see what. So if you're a mom of young girls or teenage girls or anything like that, and you don't feel comfortable doing that, I completely respect that. You can choose for those things to only be shared with the people that you're connected to, and then the things that have to do with your business to be public. So that would be the one thing that I would add to that about expanding outside of your warm market into your cold market. That's one of the ways that brought a lot of people to me where I didn't even have to go, looking. It connected other people to me. But then I've done the exact same thing as Dara. I have, added people who were mutual friends and connected with them that way, or I found common interests. We do so much of our business online and behind the computer screen. It's definitely great to do things where you're able to interact with people live and in person. So if you are able to join a networking group, you have the time to be able to do that, and there's one available in your community, that's another great way to connect with a cold market. And then, of course, there is moving into having a Facebook like page, which I know was another question that we got. So maybe this is a good segue into that. And I don't know actually what Dara's opinion on this is. And mine, if you had asked me a year ago, it would probably be different than it is right now. But I'll just go ahead and segue into that. When somebody asked today, when should you have a like page and not just your own personal page? So I have a couple of different theories on this, and I'll see what Dara thinks as well. But if you had asked me a year ago, if you would have asked me 4 years ago, I would have said, nobody needs a like page until they've gotten to a point in their business where they are ready to expand into their cold market. You should really focus on your own personal page and building through that, through connections and all of that, and then branch out. Then if you had asked me about a year ago, I would have said anybody who is committed to building a business as a coach and wants to grow this thing and blow the doors off of it and earn a significant income should start one from the get-go and have one and be building it even if you're not using it regularly. Facebook is changing all the time. Mm-hmm. So now I have landed in a spot where I think it's great to have one, but I think that I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but the main way to grow in the beginning of your business is through your personal page, because nobody knows you as this business person and as this coach. So having a like page out there and trying to grow it and get people to like it when people are like, what the heck is she doing? I don't know what she's doing yet. I don't know her story or anything like that, is difficult. And you can do that much better. And as long as you're doing it naturally, much more powerfully on your personal page. That's not to say that you shouldn't have one and you can start, dabbling in it, but Facebook is constantly changing how people see things and, what gets put into people's news feeds and all of that. And I've invested a lot of money into doing Facebook ad training and running ads for my like page. And even in doing that, it's a struggle to get traction there. So if you have limited amount of time, my personal opinion is to put it in your profile page and to be focusing on the connections you can make, because you can't friend request people from your page. You can only really promote your business from your page. And what I have learned from my Facebook page is that my posts don't get as much interaction and don't get seen as much when I'm not running ads. And so Facebook is really smart about that. They are not showing people as much of my stuff if I'm not paying for them to show people my stuff. So if you're a new coach and you're starting out and you don't have, disposable income to be putting into that, then it's not really a good use of your time in that way. Now, there are people, probably even Shalene Johnson, who would disagree with me on this and say, you need a like page, and this is just based on me and my experience. I'm certainly not an absolute expert in the area of social media. I'm just telling you how I was able to grow mine, and it was all through my personal page, and only in the last couple of years did I start to focus on my like page at all. The other thing that I think is that there is actually more power in maybe creating your own group, which turns into a community on Facebook as a newer coach than there is in having a page that you're investing all your time in. And the reason that I say that is, listen to what Dara just said about, groups are a great way to meet new people and whatever. Well, if you have a group that is just a community of people and you're inviting people to join, and maybe you have a particular topic that you all have in common, some kind of thread between you that you all have in common, and you're just interacting, and it's a way to connect with new people, that might be a more powerful way for you than a like page. Those are just my thoughts. What about you, Dara?
Yeah, so I agree with Lindy. Facebook, social media in general changes all of the time. And I think as an entrepreneur, being able to change and adapt with the times is really important. So what worked for me in the beginning of my like page has changed. I will say that I have grown through my like page. That has been probably my bread and butter, is running. In the beginning, I just promoted my page for $2 a day. That's how I brought in moms that were just like me to my personal page, because you can friend them from your like page. So all of my new likes, I would go and I would friend them over. And there were no ads. There was no boosting. You would just post and it would go wild. And then Facebook caught on and said, well, they're a business and they want more money. So then it was like boosting posts and ads. And so I agree with what Lindy said as far as like, pick what you want to do. If you're going to do your personal page, then you need to really work hard at expanding your network on your personal page. And so if you set a goal, like in our group, 3 friends a day minimum, and you do that over a month, that's 90 new people, you guys. Think of the impact and the kind of relationships and how many people you can help if you friend 90 new people a month. Say only 10% of them join you. That's 9 new people. That's 9 new challengers. That's 9 new coaches. That's huge. And so if you're diligent and you're going to grow through your personal page, then you should be really diligent about making connections through your personal page, either through groups or, like Lindy said, friends of friends, mutual friends, joining other kind of community groups. Whatever you do to do that, be very diligent. If you are ready to invest time and money, you could start a like page, but in the meantime, don't give up your personal page. You still need to be friending to your personal page, because on your like page, it takes time to grow it. It takes time for those new people to follow you. They need to establish trust and rapport and to watch you. And so it's going to take time. Those new people that you bring from your like page, that could take 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years. And it takes money. You're going to have to invest some money into your like page in order to grow it successfully, in order for it to have reach, in order for you to friend people and bring people that are like you in your target audience over to your personal page. So if you're willing to invest time and money, I would say get it now. I mean, if you're a coach that it has money coming in consistently, they say put about 10% back into your like page. So if my team cup team, I encourage them to help 5 people this month. That would be just retail, 370, I think I said 370 commission for all access. So you could put, $40 back into your like page and run an ad, or do $3 a day to promote your page. I mean, so those are just some things that I think, you should consider.
I think it's actually kind of awesome that, we have different, you had different experiences, because it kind of just goes to show you guys that there's, as much as it might suck, actually, there's not necessarily one flat answer for everyone, because every business is so individual. So it's kind of where you feel most comfortable. If you are really somebody who struggles with posting on your profile, you're not comfortable with it, you don't want to make things public and whatever, then I would say you're somebody who should get a like page, because you need to have a place where you're able to just, to do that. But like I said, I did it almost all through my personal page, and then slowly transitioned into a like page. So anyhow, what other questions did we have? Do you have more that you have written down, or should we open it? Or?
Those were the two that I saw, is expanding your warm market, when you should set up a like page. And there was one about the first section that we had them report in on, post shares to social media. They were asking if those could include groups that they're in, their like page, their personal page. I was going to let you tackle that.
Yeah. So the shares really, they need to be something that is going to, the purpose of the shares is to be something that is going to potentially hit new people, that's going to potentially expose you to new people. So it can't be something within, a group that you are running, where people are your clients or are already connected to you as a coach, because they're already exposed to you as a coach. It's meant to be what you're putting out there to hopefully draw in your ideal client, because they're going to look at what you post and they're going to say, ooh, I can relate to that, or that sounds like me, or I really like this girl, or she's funny, or whatever it is. So it's meant to be the stuff that you're putting out there for a large group of people to see. Now, I suppose you could, if you're in an interest group that has 10,000 people in it, and you go in there and you do something some way, I don't see why you couldn't count that. But it shouldn't be in a group where everybody already knows you're a coach, or where you're their coach, or where there's like 10 people, or something like that. So use your best judgment with that. Mainly, you need to focus on what the purpose of the sharing is, and that is to build your brand, attract people to you, and potentially connect with them.
Right, because if you're adding new people, they're not going to be a part of your groups, right? You need to be able to share your lifestyle and all of the things that embody who you are with the new people you're bringing in.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, let's open. What, do we have a?
No, I was just laughing at you because of your face with the baby.
Oh.
Okay, so I see one question in the chat, and you guys, if you want, you can use the chat to ask questions rather than feeling like you have to unmute yourself and do it. But one question in the chat, and it popped up when I was talking about the whole public profile and all of that. It says, I post all of my business posts as public, but my profile is private. Is that okay? I guess I don't know how that works. Do you know, Dara?
So are you saying, Curly Crew, are you saying that when you define business posts, I guess I'd like to know what that means.
Right.
Because for me, I wanted people to see me not just as a business person. I wanted them to relate to me as a person overall. And like I said, my niche is mom. So I share, my workout today was with my son, and I talk about my kids and my husband and my day-to-day, what my 5-year-old says. And then I weave in, like Lindy said, about now I've built a following that expects health and fitness and business from me. But in the beginning, it was, one of my 3 to 4 posts a day was something motivational, something about fitness, maybe about my Shakeology, maybe about my workout, maybe about the coaching opportunity. So I would weave those things in. But a big piece of what I posted about was just kind of my brand and who I am, kind of like today on today's podcast. So she's saying, I'm sorry, I don't know if it's just she or here. I'm sorry.
Right.
Anything related to my business, pics of my kids, I keep private. I share with my friends, but not the public. I have heard Brigitte Linford, another top, superstar coach, talk about, I think if someone, are you worried about just people knowing about your kids, or what is the concern? Because I think at the end of the day, if there's just all this information out there on Google, I don't think having limits on Facebook is going to be kind of the way that people could find out about your family. I just think that stuff becomes public anyway. So.
The concern is definitely more the privacy of my family, is what she said. So So yeah, that's a tough one, and that has to be a personal decision. But I guess I would say that if you, kind of what Dara said, if you're separating so that the only thing you're ever posting public is quote unquote business related stuff, meaning that it's like Shakeology or an invite to a challenge group or the business opportunity or something like that, then I definitely think you need to do more than that publicly. Because just like what the podcast said today, and echoing what Dara just said, that people are not buying products, they're buying you. That's what they want to be attached to and connected to, is you and not those business things. So it doesn't mean that you have to put your kids out there publicly. It doesn't mean you have to share personal information in that way that you're uncomfortable with, but it means they need to be able to see more of you than just the fact that you're a coach and that you have products to offer them, because the only thing they're going to see then is somebody who's selling stuff, and that's not going to attract them to you. So I would say you have to figure out what you're comfortable with. Maybe you write down, make a list, what can I do publicly that I'm comfortable with, that talks to people about who I am and will show them something about me without crossing over into a line where I am sharing things that I'm not comfortable sharing, or where I'm putting my family out there. That's what I would recommend.
I know that Brittany Leggett has her husband is in the military and kind of a very highly classified position, and her last name is not the same as his for privacy, but maybe just reaching out to other, maybe reach out to her and say, how she's built her business by making her account public, and how she's kind of worked around that. But I know if you do really want to attract your kind of ideal customer or coach, you're going to have to open that up.
Yeah.
Okay, Casey says, how do you manage this with a full-time life, full-time job? And this is a very common question that we get, don't we, Lindy?
Yeah, I do. And I was working a full-time 60-hour-a-week job when I started as a coach. So really the way that I did it was, and I'm not much of a morning person. A lot of coaches will say I got up before work and I did what I needed to do before work, and then I, had it done for the day. I was never a big, big on doing the morning thing. And at the time, actually, though, I should also say I didn't have kids yet at the time. This was, 6 years ago, so I didn't have that. But I would do it, in my lunch hours and in my evenings. I would carve out the time to do it then. But I was just fitting it back then. I was fitting it into the cracks of my day where I could. Luckily, we're able to do it from our phones and whatever. So I was, messaging on my phone and whatnot. And at the time, like I said, I was working 60-hour weeks. I was at a computer, so I did have a little flexibility with being able to do some things. But I also worked in the health and fitness industry. And when I told them that I was a coach, they told me that I had to choose between being a coach or having my job. And I basically called their bluff, and they said, okay, well then you cannot do any of that work while you're here. So I had to be very careful and strategic about when I worked. So really it was, for a couple of years, it was mornings, lunch hours, evenings, and weekends to fit it in. But I made sure that what I was doing in those hours was smart. So that's another thing, that the focus of this group being activity and what you need to do each day. If you have that limited amount of time, you only have 30 minutes a day, a few days a week. She said she does well when she's off work, but feels like she falls off when she has 3 to 4 12-hour shifts in a row, which I can imagine is very challenging. So on those days, if you've got just 30 minutes, you have to make sure that those 30 minutes, you're not spending it scrolling Facebook, coming up with the perfect post, doing all that kind of stuff. Spend it on those action steps that are actually going to produce results, which is sending new messages, starting new conversations, doing your follow-ups, and using that small amount of time that you have to do the things that are actually going to be much more effective. That would be my advice.
I agree. I think as a new coach, I didn't know what the income building activities were. So for a long time, I was just spinning my wheels. But here we know what those are, right? Beachbody even gives those to us, the vital behaviors and your power hour list. And Lindy and I have even honed in even more and created accountability around those things. If nothing else got done in your day for your business, but those things, adding to your network, because where there is no growth, there is no business.
Right.
Building relationships, having conversations, and extending the invite. Like if those 3 things happen above everything else, you would build a successful business. Like at the end of the day.
Yeah. If you never had a perfect Facebook post, if you never took a video of yourself doing a workout and edited it perfectly and put it online, if you never did any of those things, you could still have a business by growing your network and talking to people and inviting them. So those would be the things you need to do if you have limited time.
Agreed. And for me, I've shared this with my team. I have an iPhone and a Mac, so iCal. I schedule my days, you guys. I have when I need to work out. I have when I have stuff with my family. I have family time blocked out. I have, if I have appointments, a hair appointment, a doctor's appointment, everything goes in there, including my income producing activities every day. Like this is the time I need to send friend requests. I need to send personal message. I need to do my invites, my build a relationship. So that's called Power Hour 1. Before I had a big team, that was it, right? But I still have to do those things 6 years later, but then I have days where I'm more team heavy, right? So then it's like team stuff. But I put those things in my phone with a reminder, an alert that comes up and says, Dara, like, here it is. It's time to go Power Hour. And if I waste that time and that time's over and it's family time, that's it. Like it's family time. I wasted that time. And it really keeps me on track and diligent with my days. My days are still busy, even though I'm home. So I have to make a schedule for myself. And I think that was huge when I worked full time, is making that schedule.
Yeah. What else, you guys?
Any other questions? You can unmute your phone and ask, or you can comment, do the chat option like others.
I guess while we're waiting to see if anybody else has a question, one thing that I'll say is the last thing that we wanted this program to be is another thing to overwhelm you as a coach or a new coach. We know how that feels. I absolutely know how that feels. There is when you get started, there's so much information coming at you. There's so many different opportunities for trainings to get involved in and things to learn about and whatever. But what we are trying to do, and so what we hope you guys will really get from this, is that we're trying to show you what it is you actually need to focus on to produce the results that you're after. And I've said this a couple of times now, but it parallels our fitness and nutrition. I mean, how many of you, when you start a new program, if you're 3-4 weeks into it and you literally haven't seen any result from it, you get frustrated and you're like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. I'm not going to do this anymore. Like, why am I putting in the effort? Can I get some hand raises or nods if you feel that way, right? Everybody feels that way. That's human nature. So why wouldn't we feel that way when it's with our business as well? Why wouldn't we feel that way if we spend time, but we're doing all these things that are not producing any results? Then 3 or 4 weeks later, we're going to go, why am I doing this? These really are the things that are going to produce the results for you, I promise. I'm not saying it's going to happen in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, but it's going to happen. And I always use the illustration of pumping a well. When you're, no, we don't use wells anymore, right? But think about that illustration. When you pump a well, you do that and nothing happens for a long time. You continue to pump the well and nothing is coming out. And then all of a sudden it starts to happen. And one of the things that I've learned in this business is, one of the many things I've learned is that this business runs anywhere from 30 to 90 days behind your efforts, meaning that what you're doing now, what you guys are going to do over the next 3 weeks as part of this program with us, you're probably not going to see the fruits of that for another 30, 60, 90 days, meaning those people that you're talking to may not make a decision for that long. But I mentioned it in my video the other day, we are farmers, not hunters. We're not out there trying to shoot the next person down and tackle them and get them to do what it is we want to do. We are planting seeds and then we have to nurture them, and then later on comes the harvest. So you do have to be patient with it as well. This business is so amazing, you guys. It's not for everyone. I'll just say that it's not for everyone because not everyone can be patient enough to put in that time and effort and then to wait to see the results come in. But when you do, it's 110% worth it.
Agreed.
Oh, I think we got another question. I'm very public on Instagram and it shares directly to my like page and Twitter. Those things are not all business related. I've been doing a different focus every day. Do you think that's enough? Sorry if I'm taking too much of your time. Okay, so that's Shannon, I think it's her name again.
Yeah.
I don't know if I understand the question. I'm very public on Instagram. It shares to my like page and Twitter.
I guess for me, I would say pick a platform, Shannon, where you feel comfortable, and then really try to go and master that. And if you feel more comfortable on Instagram and building over there and connecting over there and you're public, I would say have at it Instagram. There's a lot of coaches that build on Instagram. I have some in my downline. It doesn't have to be Facebook, right? So I would say pick one and really do a good job at expanding your network there, building those relationships, having those conversations, putting your brand out there for who you want to attract, and then master that. Do a really good job at building that. Like I said, for me, it was my like page. That was something I wanted to invest in. Lindy did her personal page. Maybe you're on Instagram. That's fine.
Yeah.
Use your platform and rock it out.
Yeah, I agree.
I think trying to do so many different things, so many platforms can be a lot like draining. And I would say really try to do a good job with one or two and then, work on expanding. But if you don't feel comfortable with being public on Facebook, but you do on Instagram, then I would say with Instagram. Yeah,
I agree. Anything else, you guys? What about, I think that we had a question, or at least I did privately, just about kind of like starting conversations. And we are going to share a resource that might help you with that. We're compiling it now, so we'll have that to you in the next couple of days, where it's just kind of ideas for things that you can do for your shares and that kind of thing. But really the most important thing I can say is don't overthink in that area. It's another area where coaches tend to just overthink what it is they're going to say and what they're going to share, and really talk like you're talking to a friend. That's what it's meant to be, is that you're just telling a story. You're just kind of like constantly just telling little bits and pieces of your story. So a share for me, if it's business related, it might be me sharing that I had to put focused energy in my Shakeology that day because I knew it was going to be a day. But my share is about the kind of day I'm going to have and the busyness of my day and what's required of me and that kind of thing. And the focused energy part of it is just weaved in there so that it's like subtly, this is how this helps me because I'm crazy busy and I have to get all these things done. What I want people to identify with is not the fact that I'm trying to share with them about the product focus energy. What I want them to identify with is, oh my gosh, I'm really busy too. I struggle with that. I need more energy. I wonder what that is that she's talking about because I can relate to what her day is like. Does that make sense? So when you share, it should be those kinds of things, not, hey guys, have you ever heard of focused energy? It gives you the same kind of energy as a cup of coffee, but with a better caffeine. It should, because that's like an advertisement. Whereas me just being like, holy cow, it's a crazy day. I'm glad I put my focused energy in my shake this morning is sharing, So that's the way to do it, is to do it where it feels, natural. As if, think about when you're posting something, think about, would I talk like this to a friend? Would I say these words to a friend in a conversation? Chances are you wouldn't go up to a friend and be like, so next month I'm going to run a group and this is what's going to be involved in the group and here's what you need in order to participate in the group and here's how much it costs. Like you just wouldn't do that, but you absolutely would go up to a friend and go, I am so excited. Next Monday I'm starting this new program. These are my goals for it. Here's what I want to do. Why don't you do it with me? Think about it that way. Would I talk like this to a friend? And the same thing when you're starting a conversation with somebody. My best advice there is to make it about them and not you. Ask questions. The more questions you ask, the more they're probably going to respond because you're taking an interest in them. And end your message with a question, because it kind of leaves like this open-ended, hey, I'm expecting to hear back from you. Don't ever end your messages with, okay, well, just let me know if you're interested. Because that's basically like saying, it's okay if I never hear from you again.
Yeah. I always teach my team to end with every single message that you do with a question, and always at the very end, because that always 99% of the time that elicits a response.
Yes.
Right? And to be interested, not interesting. It's not about how much you know, it's about how much you care and how much you can take an interest in your, in your network, in your friends. Like, on your virtual upline, he says your network determines your net worth, and how much you build into your network and adding value and building relationships, that will determine your net worth. So think about how a message you would like to receive, right? I just got, for the third message in a row, someone asking me to buy something from her.
Right.
I finally messaged back and I said, coming from someone who's successfully done this, this does not work. Don't ask me anymore. So think about how you would want a message you would like to receive, right? Like commenting on leaving a nice comment for someone and then going to the message and asking them about their recent picture, right? Asking about their life, being genuinely interested. That will connect you to people. That will build trust. That will be why people join you.
Yeah, definitely. And so like when I'm starting a conversation with somebody brand new, I will just say, something like, hey, it's great to connect with you. And I'll try to add a personal question. I saw that you work at such and such place. How long have you worked there? And that's it. Like, that's my entire message. It's just starting a conversation. But then if it's somebody who I'm actually talking to about what I do as a coach and what I offer, and I'm inviting them to participate, the way I'll end a message like that is, does this sound like something that would help you? Or does this sound like it would fit with the goals you're trying to reach? Or it's a question like that, but it's never, are you interested? Or, it's always much more specific than that. Anything else, you guys? Does this help? Is this helpful? Good. I'm seeing at least like 6 people. I've got like, a small screen of not everyone's faces, but I see at least there's several people waving in color. Okay, good. We're so glad this is helpful for you. There was something else I was getting ready to say while Dara was talking now, and it left my brain. I can't.
Casey. Yes, Casey, go ahead.
I think the thing I struggle with the most is like organization. Like I have a planner that I bought, and I did a little like a notebook type of thing. As far as organizing like your list, as far as like challenge group invites and business thing like that, do you do it like bi-monthly? Do you do it bi-weekly? Like how do you organize your life with your business, I guess? Like do you this is my January challenge group invites, or do you do it like weekly? You break it down even smaller, just to kind of try to keep track, because I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm so crazy. Like when I'm talking with Nikki and she's like, how many of this did you send out? I'm like scrambling to go through and figure out what I've actually done and haven't done and that kind of thing.
Right.
I'm just trying to stay the best way to stay organized.
I mean, for me, like starting out as a new coach, I think pen and paper is okay. But I think if you are really here to be serious about your business, to find some kind of tracking system, because it is impossible to keep track. Like if you have your notebook, do you always have your notebook? And then what if you have multiple notebooks? Like how do you keep track of all of that? Like my success partner always was paper and pen. I'm like, where are you going to be in 6 years from now? Like how many notebooks are you going to have? So I personally would recommend trying to, if you are really like serious about this and putting a little bit of time into tracking, there's Asana and there's Agile and there's Teamzy. I know Lindy and I both use Teamzy. It's $30 a month. You do get a 30-day free trial, but I would encourage you now, while you are still kind of new in the business, to set up some kind of tracking system that is going to work for you and help you work smarter than having to work harder on, honestly, paper and pen. That's my 2 cents. I mean, I really think that was something I never did as a new coach, and it has come to bite me in the butt. Like tracking was always my downfall, and I regret that now.
Yeah, I think that's where I struggle. It's just like organization. I'm like trying to keep my life straight here at the hospital, my business, and like my home life. I'm like, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah. So you need a tracking system for that reason. So you don't have to do it that way. And I use Teamzy. I actually have a code to get you guys if I still have it, I'll find it. It's $25 a month with my code. So I'll share it in the group. You do get a 30-day free trial. What I did for a long time, if you're somebody who is like, I don't want to spend $25 a month yet, what I did in the beginning was I used Google Sheets. And I put, I had a Google Sheet that was a document that was like, the people I was talking to, but I did divide it into sheets within there by month. So every time I was talking to somebody, I was just putting their name in there and maybe making a quick note about what we talked about. And then I'd move to the next month and add people, but then I would be able to go back and look, each month. And if it was somebody who had never made a decision or who I hadn't heard back from or whatever, I would follow up with them. And that at least was free until I got to a point where I was like, I need to invest in a tracking system, for myself. So I do think that that's probably a little bit more reliable than just having pen to paper. Yeah.
Agreed.
Anything else, you guys?
Everybody's personality is different. So what might work for you might not work for someone else. You might have to play around with it a little bit. But like, I think the free trials are nice. There are you could do a Google Doc that syncs with your phone and your computer, like a Google spreadsheet. So find something and try to commit and see how it works for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So tomorrow I'm going to be going live. Lindy and I can talk about it, but would it be helpful for me to talk about how to have conversations, what to be sharing to social media, how to expand your market? I mean, any of these I can expand on if.
Yeah, what do you guys want to kind of hear about? What our plan is one of us will go live in the group each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, basically just to kind of talk about, the things that we're having you do. And then every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, you will have a podcast to listen to they're all like under 20 minutes long. You'll listen and comment with your takeaways. Sunday, there won't be anything. Sunday is a day for you to kind of like catch up and do your thing and whatever. So
the question, are there any apps that can be used for non-computer users? So yes, Agile has an app, and now Teamsy just launched their app, so they're mobile. And I know a lot of you guys are mobile, and that was a big downfall of Teamsy, but it's now mobile.
Yeah.
And like I said, Google Docs and Sheets, you can sync from your computer to your phone. You could just be mobile on that.
Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So when it comes to like scheduling, like do you guys schedule out or plan ahead like your posts for your personal page sometimes, or do you ever have like a system for trying to do that or anything like that? Does that make sense? Or like trying to like plan out things to post or have a system or anything?
Yeah.
A lot of go ahead, Lindy, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I try certain days to be very consistent in certain things. Transformation Tuesday, I've recently recommitted myself. Every Tuesday, I'm sharing some kind of transformation within our team, with myself, one that Beachbody puts out, and staying consistent there. I heard Melanie Mitchell say that one time, and I think that piece is really important. I think Thursdays are important for recognition. Always trying to find someone to recognize in your free group, in your challenge group, in your team, within our larger team. Just finding someone, can I celebrate you? That recognition piece is really important. I think it's one of our vital behaviors. They added it on this year or last year. So setting certain days where those pieces happen. I'm kind of fly by the seat of my pants, like whatever I'm feeling, I'll share. I also take a lot of the objections that I get in private message and I make that into a post, and I'm going to start going live on those things. So, planning out, like I know Tuesdays are good for going live. So I'm going to be doing that, planning my live feeds when they're going to happen. So those are going to be scheduled, I think, Tuesday and Thursday on my personal page, Monday, Wednesday on my like page. So I do have a little strategy there. That's my plan.
Yeah, same for me. I have gotten away from some of those same things where I was doing, these weekly themed things, and I got away from them just due to life. So for a lot of mine, they weren't planned out, but what I do have is I basically, everything that I post goes back to 5 different things that are my main topics. They're like, that's my brand. For me, I have these 5 things. They're my brand. They're my words. Every single thing that I do on social media is going to go back to one of those things in some way. So when I plan it out, it's really just more of, I want to put something that weaves in that topic for myself in that way. And then I fit in those business things, like recognition and the transformations and that kind of thing as they fit in as well. But I mean, if you're somebody who needs to have like a set out plan, I know people who, have a plan, but then I also think you have to leave space in there for life, for things that happen naturally, because that's what social media is. It's, it's kind of sharing as things happen rather than feeling, you don't want people to feel like they're reading something that was like very strategically planned.
I do think there is merit though in being, I follow some coaches, or I've seen them every Tuesday, they do show up with like a business tip, like go live. And so then your followers kind of expect that and they look forward to that. And I think there is merit in being consistent on some pieces, but sometimes I just throw up what my five-year-old daughter going on 15 says, just random things that kind of just share that kind of happen within my day or in my life to kind of connect me on a more human level. But I do think there is some merit in kind of having some planned things too.
Yeah, thank you. I think my issue is just like, I'll be doing something and I'll be like, oh, I need to post about that or something like that. But like, I'm so crazy with life that I don't like post about it. So I'm like, or I forget about it. So sometimes I'll like sit down and like jot something down in my notes and like try to do it. And then when I have time, like get it up. Yeah. So I'm trying to do that, but I like having like making sure you get a Transformation Tuesday up and stuff like that. Cause most of my posts are, again, like you said, Dara, flying by the seat of your pants and just like getting up a post really quick. So then I feel like I don't get up the post. Like I have all these good ideas for things to share about, but like I'm so busy when I have that idea that I never get it up. Does that make sense?
How about like writing down your top ideas? And then when you have some downtime while I'm nursing or when the kids are asleep, then I kind of formulate my post. And what about just having it ready to go so that when Tuesday morning rolls around or Thursday morning or whenever you want, it's ready. You can just copy and paste. And so it's at a peak time when your audience is on, but you've had some time to like plan it out and think about it a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'll have to try doing that because I think that would be helpful. Because then I just get mad at myself because I feel like I have a good post idea and then it just never gets up and it's like a month later.
Right. Yeah. I remembered what I was going to say, and then I see that there's one more question, and I think we need to wrap. But what I was going to say earlier was when you're talking to people and you're having a conversation with them and you're wondering about inviting them or whatever, one of the pieces of advice that I always give to my team is that, people will ask me, well, I don't know quite how to invite. I feel uncomfortable with it, or I'm not sure how to ask or whatever. For me, what I think is if you honestly feel like uncomfortable, then you probably haven't earned the right to invite yet or to get to that point yet. A lot of times it's because people are trying to go too fast from starting a conversation to telling them about what it is they have to offer and inviting them to something, and they haven't built that, rapport with them or built the relationship or learned enough about the person. I really think that unless you're just letting your fear get in the way, that's a different thing. But when it's time to invite, it should kind of feel like it's the natural next step is to tell them about what it is that you have to share, and never be something where you feel like this is really, really uncomfortable and awkward and I feel like a salesperson doing it. So that's the tip that I give. And the last question we have is, how long do you chat with people? If you set business hours, then do you just not reply until the next day? Yeah. I mean, you have to do what you have to do for your business, and you want to treat it like a business. And you also, by doing that, you teach people how to treat you, and you teach them about what your business is like. So it's very hard in the beginning. I will admit that I did this wrong in the beginning. I would answer emails at every hour of the day because I was working from my phone and I was, not a mom yet and all of that. But you've got to set those boundaries for yourself early in your business. So if you're having a conversation with somebody and your business hours have ended and they respond a couple hours later, you get back to them when you get back to them in your business hours the next day. That's what you have to do for those, boundaries for your business. Otherwise, it will start to take over, and then it'll create the overwhelm that we're trying to avoid, for sure.
Agreed. Yep. Amen. That's why we have business hours.
Right.
Stick to them. And so you can honor, be present where you're present. If it's family time, give your family the best of you. If it's fitness, focus on your fitness and not on your phone. If it's business, be really diligent on those income producing activities and building those relationships and sending those messages, right? So like having that, you'll feel like you can give your best self to those areas of your life, and you're gonna go to bed each day not feeling overwhelmed and not feeling like chaos. You're gonna feel pretty good about what you're doing.
Yeah. And I think that so many new coaches worry that if they don't get back to somebody right away, that they might miss out on the opportunity to get a client or whatever. But you know, the right people they're not going to like have a conversation with you, and then because you don't respond to them within 15 minutes, go look for somebody else. You know, it's not likely to happen. So respect yourself and respect your business that way. You know, this is a crazy business that we're in, you know, because it could be 24/7 if people let it, but we've got to kind of think of it in terms of boundaries. We've got to think about what it would be like if we were actually, you know, going to a job, and within those walls, we do our work within those walls, and we have our hours, and when we're off the clock, we're off the clock, and we're able to do the other stuff. And it's very easy to let this kind of business get in the way of every other area of your life. So you got to protect those things for sure. All right, you guys.
Great.
Yeah. Awesome first call. We're glad that you guys are a part of this group. Don't forget to do your check-ins, and we will talk again on a call next Tuesday.
Yes. Have a great week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.